investigators hear from YNW Melly and the two friends he's accused of killing.
Enter the realm of darkness and deception as we expose the true nature of YNW Melly demands. Behind the charming facade and infectious melodies lies a sinister figure whose actions have forever stained the hip-hop world. Born as Jamell demands, this self-proclaimed artist turned demon descended into a realm of malevolence, leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. Nestled along the sun-kissed shores of Florida, Fort Lauderdale offers pristine beaches, swaying palm trees, and a vibrant atmosphere. Known as the Venice of America for its intricate canal system, this coastal gem captivates visitors with its scenic waterfront views and luxurious yachts adorning its waterways. The town's vibrant art scene, exquisite dining options, and lively nightlife make it a haven for both locals and tourists seeking an idyllic escape from the chaos of everyday life. However, amidst this tranquil facade, a sinister tale lurks in the shadows, forever altering the perception of this picturesque town. For it was within the boundaries of Fort Lauderdale that the heinous crimes attributed to YNW Melly stained the very fabric of peace, casting a dark cloud over the once unblemished beauty that Fort Lauderdale had. October 26, 2018, 4:30 a.m. Cortland Malik Henry, aka YNW Bortland, rushes inside the Miramar Memorial Hospital. He informs the staff that he has two dead bodies in his SUV, exclaiming that they'd been victims of a drive-by shooting. Anthony Williams, YNW Sack Chaser, and Christopher Thomas, YNW Juvie, sat dead in the car. According to reports, the right side of the car had 8 bullet holes and 1 through the back window. Portland told police that he and his friend left the New Era recording studio and were ambushed at Southwest 160th. However, when the officers studied the crime scene, they found no evidence of a shooting, no bullet casings, gunshot residue, blood, or broken glass. Seems a bit odd, doesn't it? CCTV footage showed 4 people stepping into the black SUV, including Bortland, at around 2:20 a.m. However, only 3 showed up at the hospital. Melly was missing. What happened during the ride? Was there an argument? Were they actually shot at from another vehicle? Or were they perhaps shot at from the inside? YNW Melly was charged and arrested for the double murder of his 2 best friends in February 2019. Hey there, just a quick little reminder that we post crime documentaries, both old and new cases, all the time. If you're into that kind of stuff, consider subscribing. It helps us grow our little community, and you can always change your mind. Alright, back to the video. Who is YNW Melly? A quick search might tell you he's an up-and-coming rapper. YNW Melly, or Jamell Demons, yep, that's his real name, was born to Jamie Demons King when she was just 14 years old. Jamie and her mother raised Jamell at the Orangewood Apartments in Gifford, Florida. Jamell grew up without a father figure. He met his first friend in kindergarten, Christopher Thomas, who we now know as YNW Juvie. Life was tough for Jamell as his mother moved around eastern Florida for work. When Jamell was 9 years old, he found his uncle's revolver and shot it outside. This was the moment, he says, he became obsessed with guns. He was infatuated with the power of having weapons. This young man was clearly disturbed. He started producing his music and posting it during his high school days. In 2015, YNW was formed. YNW stands for Young New Wave. Jamell went by Melly, Anthony by Sack Chaser, and Christopher by Juvie. The artist started producing music and posting it on SoundCloud. Things were looking up for them. Their classmates showed them support, and they started amassing local popularity. October 19, 2015, Melly would catch his first case. Something is bound to go wrong when you're a kid obsessed with weapons. Melly shot at 3 seniors at Vero Beach High School and ultimately served a year in jail for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and discharging a firearm on public grounds. He was released and arrested again for violation of his probation. He released many hit songs during his time behind bars. Some of his hit singles included For Real, Butter Pecan, and Medium Fries, all of them amassing millions of views on YouTube. In the rap genre, serving jail time only adds to your charisma as a rapper, but one of his most notorious tracks would garner the most attention, Murder on My Mind. Released in 2018, had some of the most gut-wrenching lyrics for a rap song. Usually, this genre is filled with songs that are related to violence, but this one was different. Melly sang about murdering his friend by mistake and then talking to him in his last moments, all in a very graphic description. Many believed that this was foreshadowing. Nonetheless, it garnered more than 500 million views on YouTube. Owing to his love for guns and a hefty criminal record, Melly was considered the prime suspect in the double homicide. It's noteworthy that Juvie and Sack Chaser were both close friends of the rapper. He even had their names tattooed on his face.
So what you got tattooed on your face? Tell me about it a little bit.
No, I got Sack Chaser right here. That's my brother. That's my twin.
Okay.
And I got Juvie.
Juvie?
Yeah, that's my brother.
Just a lot of your friends who passed?
Yeah. Nah, them my niggas right there.
Oh, okay.
My brothers right there.
As of June 12, 2023, Melly's trial is underway. Day one of the trial kicked off with aggressive statements from the prosecution, saying that Melly shot two of his friends from inside the SUV. They were both riddled with bullets, and the car was full of blood. They further stated that police found no evidence of a drive-by shooting at the crime scene. The location was described by Portland. The prosecutor continued, saying that Melly and Sack Chaser had the same phone and plan, and that was tracked going to the edge of the Everglades, which is less populated and has no streetlights. At 4:02 a.m., Jamell Demons, aka Melly, exited his car to stage a drive-by. The police presented evidence that clearly showed that Sack Chaser had a bullet wound in his head, and on further inspection, it was deduced that the bullet entered from the back of his head and left from the front. Clear evidence that the drive-by was just a lie. One spent .40 caliber bullet casing was found inside the car. Furthermore, the gunshot residue was analyzed and revealed that the gun was a close distance to the victim, depicting an execution-style shooting like we see in the movies. Afterward, Melly's phone tracks with the two victims until 4:20 a.m., just 15 minutes before Portland arrives at the hospital. The prosecution was going all out, presenting a pile of undeniable evidence for the defense to answer back at. The phone Melly was using had given out his phone number 15 times, so it was a fact that the phone was his. The grilling didn't stop there. Evidence of Melly's loyalty to the G-Shine Blood Gang was also found. After the homicide, Melly was reached out to for his well-being since he lost two of his best friends, to which he replied, "I did that." Shh. The fact of the matter is, he can't really deny cold, hard evidence. The defense took the stand and opened up, mentioning that there was reasonable doubt in the investigations. They went on to say that the prosecution doesn't have any proof of motive. They pushed the narrative and questioned why someone would shoot their very own best friends, people he'd known since his kindergarten days. They even lived together and recorded music together. The defense continued, since Melly was a rising star, he was targeted by the prosecution, zeroed in on without considering all the other leads and evidence, stating that because if you're involved in prosecuting a star, you become a star. The defense aggressively opposed the co-defendant in the case, Cortland Henry, saying that Cortland was the one to show up with the dead bodies, change of clothes, and gunshot residue on his hands. The defense further stated more reasonable doubt. The defense brought Miramar police under fire, claiming that they botched the investigation and the Broward Sheriff's Department had to start all over again. This statement was another jab at the evidence presented by the prosecution. Throughout the trial, we saw Melly in high spirits, laughing and smiling. Was it due to his confidence in not getting caught, or was it because he was just happy to see his friends and family after being locked up for so long? That's for you to decide. Next up, we have a statement from the police officer who was working a shift at the hospital that night. She testified that the vehicle was riddled with bullets and there were two dead bodies in the SUV, and Jamell Demons was definitely not in the car. An interesting situation arose when she said Cortland Henry wasn't harmed. He was later photographed at the hospital and sustained no major or even minor injuries. This seemed really odd. How could a person survive a drive-by shooting without even having so much as a bruise? The second day of the trial commences with a bizarre visual from the courtroom. We see Melly doing a prayer and then blowing a kiss. Was this a taunt, or was this his way of paying respect to his dead friends? The prosecution brought in a correction officer, and he testified that he took Melly's fingerprints and that those prints were actually his. A deep dive was done on the crime scene, especially on the inside of the car. Among a number of bloodied items, the investigation found a bullet casing where Melly was sitting. Interestingly, the casing was in a plastic bag. What could this mean? Did someone try to hide the evidence and miss the casing? We can only speculate. The forensic officer was brought to the stand, and he had many interesting things to talk about. He spent 15 hours swabbing and processing the car for all the DNA that he could find. The defense tried their best to brush off the fingerprints. They were onto something when one of the forensic officers stated that she wouldn't change gloves between each item like her other partner did. The defense tried convincing the jury that the forensics were botched due to cross-contamination. meaning the blood of one item might have gotten on another item. The defense was doing a good job, as the forensic officer occasionally contradicted herself. Coming up, we have exciting new details on the case, from undercover gang members to text messages that paint a cruel image. Will Melly be convicted, or will he finally taste freedom? Join us in this next video as the YNW Melly saga continues.